Hello, my name is Maria Quintanilla. I'm a New York City World Languages high school teacher, and today we will go over how to write a cultural comparison between two communities using two of the three P's of culture. Making cultural comparisons will help you reflect on your own world and your experience, as well as consider how others live, perspectives. Learning about other cultures is one of the most interesting parts of language class. I hope you agree with me. And well, your language class works as a window, that you can look into other communities and other cultures. So when you write this cultural comparison, you need to not worry, as your teacher will guide you through the process. Okay? Why don't we start by reviewing what the three P's of culture are, right, before we get into how to actually write the cultural comparison. When we think of culture, we think of culture as an iceberg. There is something that you can see on the outside, right? Easy to see. Those could be products. Then there is something that you can still see through the water, somewhat easy. You can still see it. That would be your practices of a culture. And then in order for us to take a look at a perspective, or to understand or to see the perspective of a culture, just like an iceberg, we need to look deeper into the water to be able to see and understand what the perspectives are, right? So the same way, the same idea of the iceberg, whatever we see on the outside would be the products. Something like food, music, the buildings or architecture, clothing, even the law. The laws of a culture are products. Then you can still see it somewhat deep. It's the practices. What do they do? Do they eat together? Do they throw a party at the end of the year? Or do they celebrate a quinceañera? Or how do they say hello? And how do they say goodbye? Those are practices of a culture. And then we have perspectives. That part of culture that is deep, that we have to look deep into it to be able to understand it. It's why people do those practices. Why is it important to eat together every Sunday, for example? Why is it important for people to celebrate a quinceañera or to continue the tradition of a quinceañera? Why do they say hello that way? Those are the perspectives, how they see these practices as being important. And perspective is very important for us to understand, because we don't want to fall into just stereotypes of a culture. Okay? Well, now that we have reviewed the three P's of culture, fast forward a couple of weeks to the end of a unit, or to the last week of the unit, and your teacher asks you to write a cultural comparison between two communities using two of the three P's that we just went over. Okay? Well, not to worry. After you know which two communities you will compare, just remember that a community could be as large as a continent and as small as a family. Well, after you know which two communities you want to compare, then all you have to do is start by jotting down everything you know about each community. You can also write what they have in common, but you can also arrange them with one community, your own community, and then another community. And you may want to start thinking of practices and perspectives of each community. Then you will take your diagram, whatever you jotted down in your diagram, and then you will turn those into sentences. This will help you connect your ideas. Also, your teacher may provide you with an example or a sample of a cultural comparison for you to have an idea. Now, remember to always ask your teacher for help, but also try to do as much on your own. Okay? All right. After you have your sentences, you did your Venn diagram, you wrote your sentences, and now you're done with your sentences. Now you are going to well, you're going to start the process of peer editing. Now, don't worry, this will not happen in the same lesson. You will take a few lessons, but now you're ready to start peer editing your sentences with a classmate. Now, you may be working in a breakout room, and your teacher will provide you with a guiding document with some questions that will help you and your peers ask each other questions, read each other's sentences so that you can help each other out right before you start writing your mini essay. And right before you write that mini essay, right after you've gone through your Venn diagram, writing your sentences, and the peer editing process, then right before you write your mini essay, your teacher may go over what you did each week leading up to this task that you have to do, the cultural comparison. So there may be a review of what you did each week, and then you'll be able to remember details about the two communities or the communities that you're comparing, details that maybe you didn't even know that you still knew. So it would be good to go over this review. Now, Venn diagram, check. Writing my sentences, check. Peer editing with my classmates, check. And now one last review from the teacher right before I write my mini essay, check. Fine. Now it's time for me to write my mini essay. My mini essay needs to contain or needs to have four paragraphs. You will turn now your sentences into paragraphs. The first paragraph has to be your introduction. The second paragraph needs to have details about the practices and perspectives of one of the communities that you chose to describe. And the third paragraph needs to have details in practices and perspectives of your community, as large as a continent, as small as a family. And then your fourth paragraph, the conclusion of your mini essay, needs to be a call to arms, needs to be the paragraph where you express your opinion, where your voice comes through. And this is a call to arms. Okay, so you want to write a paragraph that tells people to do something, to wake up, to get up and do something. That's a call to arms. Okay, now that you've done with everything, you've done with your Venn diagram, you've done with your sentences, peer editing, you wrote your essay, then maybe your teacher may ask you to share your essay with your classmates, and your teacher will walk you through the process of how you can share your essay, not only to see the progress of the learning of the target language or the language that you're learning, but also to see and motivate each other about that call to arms that you wrote about in the last paragraph. And after your teacher does that, then you're done with the cultural comparison. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you found it entertaining and that you learned something new. I'll see you again soon. Bye.